Hello everyone, my name is Lowko, and welcome back to a professional match of StarCraft 2. Now what I've got for you today is a best-of-7 of Protoss versus Zerg, where in game number 1 we find ourselves on beautiful Persephone. Now spawning right here in the top left-hand corner, playing with the blue Protoss pieces, we have none other than MaxPax, and his opponent down in the bottom left, playing with the red Zerg drones. He goes by the name of Solar. Alrighty. A good old Protoss versus Zerg, a best-of-7 series. Now, both of these players, they like to approach this matchup in, generally speaking at least, the most stock standard way possible. Usually, Solar tries to open up with, well, triple hedge into a fourth base and defend, 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 defend. MaxPax also likes to play the most ordinary strategies possible. So, I'm not sure exactly if we're going to see any crazy switch-ups here. I don't think MaxPax is going to be playing like Hero. I don't think Solar is going to be playing like, for example, a Rogue. I think both of these players will likely play a very macro-oriented style. At least if I were to make a guess. Now, this is a best-of-7, meaning that you do indeed have to perform well. You can't really just play the same strategy every single game, at least generally speaking. Being predictable is one of the last things you want to be in a long series like this. Either way, we already have some energy being transferred onto the Oracle. And it's going to be used to provide some high ground vision here to push that Overlord away. Second Oracle? No, not yet. Are we not going to make a second Oracle? Okay. Instead, we decide to go into a Robo facility. So this is an extremely expensive Oracle, because effectively it's the only thing that's been produced out of the Stargate. Meaning that not only do you pay the cost of the Oracle, you also spend, of course, 150 minerals and gas on the Stargate tech itself. Yeah, so this is a Robo facility together with a Twilight Council. And this is the type of switch-up that that MaxPax does like to go for. Hero already would have done different things at this point in time, okay? Now, this is the type of switch-up that MaxPax likes to go for. So, MaxPax has his, like, go-to strategy, and then he's got minor deviations from that spot. I don't think we're ever really going to see today that MaxPax goes back to, like, full-on cheesing, which he used to do when he first got good at the game, like 5 years ago or so. He used to cheese a lot. But small deviations seem to be his preferred strategy instead. Ah, okay, so it's a very quick Templar Archives. We'll have to see exactly what he's cooking up here. Could be Archon drops. Could be an Archon Zealot charge all-in. Could be a variety of threats. He could even go for storm drops if he really wanted to. Still a bit of variety here, but it is quite uncommon actually to go for this combination of structures this quickly on into the game. I mean, this is a 5-minute, at the 5-minute mark is nearly done, a 5-minute Templar Archives. Solar though is still just trying to deal with these early game troops. It's quite difficult for Zerg to make a read based off of all of this, right? So if you're the Zerg player right now, what have you really seen? Well, you've seen a normal timing on the third Nexus. It is going to be Archon drops. Love that the Oracle is also here. Yeah, not bad. So, we're going to be putting the Overlords, the Archons, inside of the Warp Prism. And we're going to do a little bit of juggling. Oracle has come back home to deal with these Zerglings. Not bad at all. But how much damage can these two Archons really do? And that's always the question. You commit quite heavily into this sort of early game here as Protoss. Would you have been better off just making good old, well, triple Oracle into like Blink Stalker builds instead? Possibly. Hard to know. Already, Infestation Pit coming up. +1 missile here, researching for Solar. Roach speed is about, I want to say 60% of the way done. We do have to see a pretty quick fourth Nexus on the back of this as well here for the Protoss player, so whether it's going to be here or whether it's going to be on the left doesn't really matter all too much, although I would imagine this one is easier to defend. Either way, Solar already has his fourth hatchery finishing up in the far bottom right. And the Oracle is still going around. Now, I'm assuming at this point it hasn't actually been spotted yet, so that's kind of interesting. I mean, it's a safe assumption to make. He is sending the Oracle right now with a Shift Q command towards the bottom right. Oh, it's Swarm Hosts. Really? So I would have assumed this was going to be a Hydra den into a Lurker den, and then together with a Hive. Oh, don't lose them. Okay. It is going to be Swarm hosts, roaches, ravagers. No Nidus worm as far as I can tell. At least not yet. Generally speaking, swarm hosts do go hand in hand with Nidus worms, just because you need to be able to transfer them and also bring them back to safety pretty quick. Already though, MaxPax is finishing up Storm. Most of the time with Swarm Host, it comes down to the very first wave. Obviously, the follow-up waves are important too, but if Protoss can defend the very first wave of those Locusts cleanly, then any sort of follow-up from Zerg usually is much weaker. This may actually be like a committed push though. Solar's bringing the Queens to the front too. He's got Roaches, Ravagers, Zerglings. Pop in the Stasis Ward. Charge is almost done though, and there's already High Templar with Storm. If MaxPax can get a Storm off on the Locust when they're still in midair, that would be absolutely massive. He sees them now. He sees them now. That's huge. There's one Storm going down. I think he can Storm this too. Boom. Great Storm. Boom. Great Storm number 2, 3. Okay, picks up the weakened units. Excellent defense there by Max. Did he lose anything? Well, pretty much nothing. A single photon cannon going down at the front. But that was as clean a defense as you can hope for as the Protoss. Max could go on the offense right now. It's a little unnecessary if I'm being completely honest with you. But he feels like he's got the units for it. He could just try and max out instead. Or MaxPax out. Yeah, I think he's just mostly dancing here. Pretending like he wants to go for a committed attack, but instead he's building up a 4th Nexus up north. Little group of Zealots here in the far bottom right trying to be annoying. Immortal production continues. Here's the second wave of Locust. Looks like we're gonna go for some Storm drops in the meantime on the other side of the map. Oh, actually, no, it's gonna be Zealots. Another Storm? A little bit late on that one. Still though. He gets rid of those Locusts so quickly. Zealot run by, trying to go around the long way. Here's the big Zealot warp in inside of the main base though. Something MaxPax does all the time. Hive finally coming up together with a Hydralisk Den. Okay, Solar is trying to now make a transition towards what will likely be a Lurker late game. But obviously, as far as all of that time goes, he is quite late. He is doing a great job though, clearing out all of those Zealots. Right now he's killed 21 Zealots. I think previously it was like 1, and I don't think he really took a whole lot of damage in the process at all. I loved the first 8 minutes of this game for MaxPax. The last minute and a half or so have been a little bit shaky. Still, Solar needs to trade out some of these troops, and he needs to trade them out pretty soon because he wants to go Lurkers. Roach Ravager Swarm Host is very, very supply heavy. Storm, good Storm. Okay. The Roach army can just not achieve anything here. It's just not enough. MaxPax slowly maxing out. He's got another big group of Zealots moving towards the right side of the map, always threatening those run-bys. The Immortal count right now is at 11. There's about as many Immortals as there are Swarm Hosts. Zealot run-by has arrived in the far bottom right. Zealot run-by has arrived inside of the main base too. In the meantime, MaxPax is pushing with his main army straight through the center of the map, and this is going to be some very difficult multitasking that Solar needs to accomplish. Solar uses the Locust Wave defensively right now, fair enough, gets an Archon for his troubles, but very quickly reinforcements will arrive. Another group of Zealots gets warped in. Spore Crawler does not burrow in time to try and get rid of that Prism, and in the meantime, that main army is on the hunt. He knows at this point that the Locusts are not going to be available. He had a revelation on top of all of those Swarm Hosts. He's going deep onto creep now, though. It will be difficult to retreat back home if that turns out to be a necessity. Solar still with a solid amount of supply. I wonder if maybe we should try and play this a little bit safer. Okay, he decides to back up. Great movement here by Max. Yeah, great movement here by Max, actually. That could have been an absolute disaster, but he tiptoes out of that creep again. Perfectly on time for the Locust Wave. Another Storm. Being very conservative with the Storms in that fight. I mean, at this point, there's more Immortals than there are Roaches. GG gets cold. MaxPax plays a phenomenal game number 1. Brilliant game right there by the Danish Protoss player. If I have to be critical, I guess the Zealot run-bys, starting around minute 8, were suboptimal. But honestly, that mostly comes down to Solar just defending them really well, right? He was trying to stress the Zerg's multitasking at that point in time, and I mean, it worked out reasonably well initially, but then Solar just sort of cleaned everything up. Other than that, the game was pretty much as good as it could have been from Max. What I really like about MaxPax, and I really do appreciate this, is that he has a very methodical way to play against every possibility. So how commonly do you go single Oracle into a very quick Twilight Council robo facility, and then in that specific circumstance, how frequently do you play against a Swarm Host follow-up? Right, it's one of those very niche scenarios. It's not really something you will practice against a whole lot, because Zerg players usually don't even like going Swarm Host. And then when you have a strange start yourself, or at least a slightly uncommon start, compared to the more common like triple Oracle beginnings, right? Like you need these very specific situations grinded out to a T, and that is what MaxPax has done over the last bunch of years. We have very scrappy Protoss players, and then we have MaxPax who, well, likes to just play this game like it's an Excel spreadsheet. And it's glorious to watch when it's working out well. It really does remind me of the way that Serral likes to play StarCraft. You can criticize it for being a bit predictable. Serral these days is quite free-flowing in that department. He doesn't really play as rigidly as he once upon a time did, but yeah. MaxPax certainly does remind me of a younger Serral in that sense. Like a 2018 type of Serral, which is also the year that Serral won literally everything. Okay. Enough fanboying. Let's see if you can actually live up to it. Ultimately, I think the Swarm Host strategy for Solar was decent. But that's what Swarm Host looked like against a good Protoss. Right? So, the Swarm Host, I feel like in theory, they should never work. Like, in theory, the previous game is what a good Swarm Host game should look like, and it was definitely not worth his time. Now, you have to mix it up a little bit in a best-of-7. I don't think you can really go for the same thing twice. And I really don't believe Solar is going to go for another Swarm Host game. It just... nah. Like, the most they killed was like one Archon. That's the only thing I've seen, and it was a massive commitment. Not as far as resources go, but especially as far as just time investment goes. He could never tech up the Lurkers there. Okay, so, Roachborn it is. Lair is about halfway done. This is about a 5-minute lair. Evo Chamber coming up too. We'll probably see a 4th hatchery in a moment, and then good old macro on the back of this. Blink together with the +1 research. So Max this time around, by the way, opening up a little bit differently. So he's gone for the double Oracle start this time around into Blink Stalkers. This is very conventional. This is the standard that, well, I guess MaxPax kind of popularized. Although all of the Protoss players kind of came to the same conclusion. Once more, though, a quick Templar Archives. So this is a relatively new thing. A lot of Protoss players have been loving the quick High Templar Storm research. Blink is not yet finished. This is another alternative that Zerg players have been dealing with as of late. Protoss players usually, at least historically, have always waited until this upgrade is done. So what Zerg players do is they drone, and then when they know that Blink is about to finish, that's when they, shortly before that, start making army. Lately, though, Protoss players like Max have been attacking before that research is done. So now he's trading out a bunch of Stalkers before Blink ever finishes, just to try and force less drones out of the Zerg. So even though he loses a couple Stalkers in the process, and he does force the Zerg to start making army sooner, in a way, this is an excellent way to actually stay even with the worker counts. It is going to indeed be Storm. Hydra's on the back of this for Solar. 4th Nexus in the meantime building on the right side. Same right here for Solar now. He's trying to see if he can potentially get this base going. Clinical precision so far again though from MaxPax. He wants to see if he can get a kill on this hatch, but that's going to be difficult to pull off. Especially when Hydras finish up their ranged research, although, well, I mean, he's been thinning out the Roach numbers quite nicely. Good corrosive balls right there on top of the stasis. You know what? The Stalker count's looking pretty solid. Nice control on the multiple groups here. Hydra numbers, though, are slowly growing. Oh, missed the corrosive balls there. That could actually bite him in the butt if he doesn't notice. Okay, he did notice. MaxPax decides to back up. Fair enough. Good bit of exchanging, though, between these two players, but ultimately Solar didn't really lose anything critical. Now, it is going to be Solar's turn to be aggressive. Problem is, he's been making a lot of Hydras. Great unit, of course, against that Stalker army. But this is not really your preferred weapon of choice when you go up against, well, High Templar with Storm. They can still put in some damage, but you have to be extremely careful. If the Hydras get stormed to death, obviously that is a disaster. Roach, Robo facility right now on the back of this. The Solar really is doubling down on just Roach Hydra. No Hive, no Lurker Den, no Infestation Pit. Not even any drones for the 4th base. So Solar is actually committing, well, this is a transfer from the main. Solar is actually just committing to a 3-base all-in. This is him going for effectively just a old-school Roach Hydra push. He's got an awful lot of units. I mean, Storm should be able to clear this out, though. Arrowholm does not have a ramp leading up towards this 4th base location, and that may actually work out in Solar's favor. The lack of a ramp there is going to make it much easier for Solar to push through, but I mean, he can still storm this for a good long while. Immortal production should really begin. Oh, MaxPax might not be respecting this enough. Yeah, don't doubt MaxPax. Big Zealot run by, but already Solar had Roaches prepared. I love that. Wouldn't even mind seeing a recall on some of those bad boys, but okay. Big storms. Immortals indeed coming up right now on the back of this. Another Zealot run by, this time around at the 4th. Keeping that Zerg player occupied. MaxPax right now is at 82 workers versus 61 drones. And he's got plenty of army here, it seems, to keep that Roach Hydra army pinned back. Fleet Beacon on the back of his. Max is trying to see if he can squeeze out a mothership. He's got a ton of resources for it, but it's going to take a long time before it is available. And now with all of the Zealot run-bys cleaned up, the rest of those units that Solar had dedicated to base defense are also going to show up on the other side of the map, and I think this is the perfect opportunity for Solar to try and see if he can drive that Protoss army into a corner. The storms are absolutely massive though, and there are the reinforcements too showing up right now for Max. He's got a couple Immortals in the mix. Fleet Beacon is about to finish up. Solar is extremely committed to this push. The next time around he goes across the map, there will be a mothership because she started up in the main nexus. Dude, MaxPax is unstoppable here. Absolutely crushed it. Phenomenal game so far by MaxPax. Hats off to him, like genuinely. Very, very impressive gameplay. I think this is the type of Protoss styles that many of us have been missing over the years. Because the fact of the matter is that Protoss has not won premier tournaments in StarCraft 2 in too long. Too many years at this point. It's been all Terran, it's been all Zerg. However, I'm not sure really what Solar did wrong in that previous game. Like, he played really well. Usually, we can pinpoint something really obviously, right? Like, we can look at that and be like, okay, yeah, he did some damage on the other side of the map, but then, in the meantime, he took a lot of damage from the Zealot run-bys. But MaxPax, I mean, he did get nothing done with those. Solar cleaned those up with ease, and then he sent everything across the map. And in the meantime, Max had already made a massive commitment to, like, an 80-worker economy and a full SkyToss late-game transition. He didn't even have that ready yet. Like, it was going to be out in a couple minutes down the line. The game never lasted long enough for that to really get going, but MaxPax was making big investments into the future of that particular match. Solar was committed to just a, well, triple hatchery all-in while faking it to his opponent, and I don't think MaxPax really realized it until the very end, but my god, did MaxPax play really well there. Felt like a desperation play though from Solar, and even though the stars seemed to align there, when he finally got his entire army across the map, he just got wiped off the map. He just got absolutely destroyed there. Okay, well, if I talk too much longer, I know I'm gonna start fanboying over MaxPax again, so let's just look at what the players are doing, shall we? Before you know it, I'm just gonna be Yeah, I'm just gonna be highlighting everything MaxPax is doing there. We don't want to be too much of a fanboy. We want to be at least somewhat objective. Okay. You know what's cool though about Max? I'm gonna fanboy just a little bit longer. Just a smidge more. I think for the longest time, Protoss was assumed to be this race that can only win by tricks, right? So we would see Protoss players doing these tricks and we're like, haha, okay, you won the game. You won the tournament, great job, haha, that's fun. And then the next time there was a tournament, players would try to do those tricks again, but obviously the opponents now knew the tricks. Because a good magician never, shares their secrets, but in StarCraft 2 you have the replays, so you can just analyze what you should have done instead, and then next time that a tournament rolled around, Zerg players and Terran players alike wouldn't die anymore. MaxPax is playing straight up. Like, there's small tricks, but like nothing crazy, right? Like, he's not doing any cheese, he's not doing any proxies, he's not really doing any crazy strats. He's just doing solid, straight up StarCraft 2. And he's proving to everybody that, yeah, no, you can play Protoss this way. And you can actually dominate the opponents with it if you do a good job. You love to see it. So far, game number 1 and 2, Solar played really, really well. But MaxPax played really, really weller. Which I'm trying to, I'm trying to make that a word. Recently, I said that in a cast, and I had somebody in a comment section say, actually, Lowko, the way you would say that is to say that they're better. It's like, really? Really, YouTube commenter? Okay, I had no idea. Did you know, Lowko, that weller is not actually a correct word? Sometimes I make what is in my mind a very obvious joke, but not everybody gets it. Maybe my humor is really stupid. There's a very good shot that is the problem. All right, anyways. Once more, going to be the good old Blink. Blink together with +1. We've had ourselves double oracles. Ooh. Kill on the hatchery, it looks like. Queens are being picked off one at a time. I was yapping so much that MaxPax is once more, well, sitting behind the driver's seat, and he's got his foot on the gas. Are we gonna break for any corners, you think? Do you think MaxPax has a driver's license? Follow-up question, would you trust pro gamers if they invited you into their car? Say there's a pro gamer out there, like say like Sarah wants to take you on a road trip. Do you think Sarah has a driver's license? I don't know, man. I'm not so sure, man. Maybe, probably. But maybe not. Anyways, Stalker's going around the site. The Zergling run by is attempted. Solar, though, just found out that MaxPax is not hero, so there's always going to be a unit on hold position there. Zergling's going around the site trying to get a wraparound, but there's already a stasis ward preventing that from happening. Yeah, Sarah would definitely micro his way through traffic. He'd be weaving. He'd be accelerating on the roundabouts. I'm assuming they have roundabouts in Finland. I don't know. The speed limit says I could go 50 kilometers an hour, so we're going 50 kilometers an hour. Solar, by the way, committing to a big push over here. He's droning behind it. Infestation Pit, Lurker Den, Hive is going to be cooking up in just a moment. MaxPax doesn't have a ton of units here this time around. He's waiting for Storm. So Storm is still a little ways away from finishing, but it is going to be done soon. He may very well need it. Maybe Solar can finally get some damage in. Yeah, killing the 4th Nexus here is more damage than he's done in any game so far. All right, forcing the cancel on it. Wouldn't be surprised if there's going to be a new one starting up over there next. Lurker Den, coming up. Hive indeed has been fired up too, although a bit of a delay. But this is by far the best spot that Solar has been in so far. Because now we're finding ourselves in a position where he's able to actually play a late game from a slight advantage. In the previous games, he's been like slightly behind or, well, maybe even. And at that point, it just feels really rocky for Zerg. Seems like you need to put in a little bit of work for Zerg to be even. Anyway, He still has a good army, but it's all these glass cannon units, right? And at this point, there is Storm. Let's see. Storm! Oh, he's inviting them into a choke point. He's being very conservative. I would have stormed the hell out of those Zerg units a while ago. What do you think the Danish word for storm is? Sturm? It's probably the same word, but then with dots on the O. That's how it works in my mind. Ooh, it's still a scary attack though from MaxPax. He's put down the fleet beacon right now. Okay, Zergling's trying to see if they can kill some of those Templar, but good defense here. Lurkers are now out. Yeah, and those Lurkers are going to make it difficult for Max to continue fighting. Okay, so Seismic Spines is about halfway done. Additional Stargates are building. Fleet Beacon is also coming up. So MaxPax is aiming to be playing either Tempest or Carriers, probably Tempests, and then into the good old Mama ship. It is going to, however, be several minutes until he gets all of that done, and Solar should be able to go for a big attack before those upgrades and before those additional units kick in. MaxPax is mostly just out on the map right now, not because he's trying to fight, he's trying to pick off Lurkers. He's already got 2. Doesn't look like a lot, that's the 3rd one. It's got 1 HP. Okay, didn't get it. Oh, he's looking for it with the Storm, I think. No, he's not gonna finish it. Yeah, his main goal right now is to just slow down the Lurker advancement. Oh my god, dude, this attack right here from MaxPax is wild. In the meantime, though, this is only half of the Zerg army. The rest of it is hitting the natural expansion of Protoss. And I wonder if maybe this attack over here is ambitious and a little overly so, because at this point, yep, Max is losing all of the units on the other side of the map, and he does not have a way of cleaning this up. GG gets called. It's Solar who gets a point on the board. Now, as good as MaxPax is, he is sometimes a little bit predictable, and I don't believe he's a particularly flexible player. Like, when everything goes well, MaxPax looks pretty much unstoppable, but in the previous game, he took a bit of damage early on, and then everything just sort of came crumbling down. But when you think about it, flexibility is just a matter of being more rigid by playing more games. Because all you need to do is just play more games, make more mistakes, therefore you've been in those situations more before, and then you can actually make decisions based off of previously acquired knowledge. So in StarCraft, you can become more flexible by being extremely rigid. Doesn't work in yoga, I don't think. No. If you decide to sit in a chair for 60 years, you will not become more flexible. No. I'm planning on trying, though. So if I figure out a way, I'll let you guys know. Anyway, it's going to be Oracles, and guess what? I'm assuming we're going to see a Twilight Council on the back of this again in a moment. And then after that, we'll probably see Psionic Storm. It's a crazy concept. Solar, going into the good old Spore Crawlers. I wonder if we're gonna see, if we're still gonna see like a balance patch before the Esports World Cup. It's a good couple months away at this point. Actually, how long is it away? I'm not exactly sure. Maybe like 2-3 months? Yeah, I don't think so. No, I don't think we're gonna see a balance patch. This will likely be the patch that we're gonna be seeing the, there's no way. It takes a very long time for a balance patch to be finalized too, and nobody ever agrees with anybody. Good movement here on the Queens. Solar pushes away all of those units. There's the Twilight Council indeed coming up. I saw a Reddit thread a couple of days ago about somebody saying that Protoss versus Zerg was impossible to win for Protoss, which I found interesting. Anyway, I'm assuming we're gonna go good old Blink together with +1. Zerglings running on over towards the 3rd base. Okay. Good movement here by Solar, trying to save the Overlord or at least get paid for it, but ultimately he didn't get anything. Yeah, so it is going to be Blink. Oracle in the main base getting a bit of damage done. 4 kills in total is not bad. Okay. +1. Bam. Bam. He's got minerals for it now. Bam. There we go. Okay, a little late. Stalkers have to go through the chicane. Slow down a little bit. Ooh. That hatchery at the gold base will not happen. Scentworm has got a bunch of rocks protecting the golden mineral line, which is kind of a cool mechanic. I wasn't sure about it initially when I first saw this map, but I actually really like it. It's cool. So you can take the hatchery or the nexus there early, or the command center for that matter, but you actually do need units to be able to clear out the debris to actually be able to mine it. Very fun mechanic that I hadn't seen before. Well, anyways, yeah, this is now starting to... So this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. None of this is super critical. Solar losing a bunch of drones. His fourth base gets slowed down. He is going for a Hydra then. But this is the type of stuff that MaxPax needs to try and pull ahead. It's these little plays. Where now he's delayed that expansion twice over. Solar is going to try and see if he can now instead take it over here on the right side. But this really does make the game a lot more complex here for the Zerg player. Like, any attack that he wants to go for right now is going to feel a little bit Because ultimately, even if this hatchery does not get cancelled an additional time, and it might just, but you're already now putting yourself like 30 seconds behind on that base. MaxPax in the meantime has not really been slowed down whatsoever. He's focusing all of his attention here on the Stalkers. Loses a bunch of them now though, but he's busy targeting Hydras before their ranged research kicks in. Much like the Lurkers in the previous match. Trying to pick them off right before the ranged upgrade is done. He knows that the timer is of course going to be that storm research, and he starts it up immediately. Attempted creep spread here is nice, I suppose. At least it's another target for those Stalkers to hit. Yeah, so what do you do now as Solar? He's been overmaking defenses to try and keep those Stalkers at bay. He knows that at some point he will reach critical mass, but he also knows that by the time that he goes across the map, there's a very good shot that there will be Zealots with charge and that there will be Psionic Storm. So do you overmake units here? Do you just blindly go back to drones? Do you try to tech up during all of this? Or do you overcommit to, like, making units here and then hope and cross your fingers that maybe your opponent was delayed on the storm research? Maybe what we should do is anticipate this, make an overseer, contaminate this thing twice. Then suddenly the Hydra attack can work. Because this is something that's, like, MaxPax does every time. We rarely see contamination being used as a timing attack, but I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit of experimentation in that direction. Because Protoss has a bunch of those pivotal upgrades that without them, suddenly any attack is going to be dangerous. But now Solar is going to head across the map. He's finally got his feet under him. Finally, the Stalkers went home. But the Stalkers went home because the Psi Storm is done. Still though, Solar has the superior numbers, and this is a wide open map. Couple of Stormy Boys in the front. Boom. 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 A lot of those units are looking pretty soft right now. Solar though has the numbers still. It's just that a lot of those numbers are units that are about a quarter of their HP right now. An Archon in the front too. Big storm. Ooh! I think he was looking away at the Zealot run-by. These Zealot run-bys are killer. You look away for a second. Oh, again. You look away for a second to try and deal with these Zealots. Suddenly you take a storm to the face. And what was previously like a 40 supply advantage when he moved in, something along those lines, suddenly has been pushed away pretty easily. And what do you have now as Zerg, right? Like, where are you now? We're at Lairtech. We're playing Roach Hydra. There's no Hive. In the meantime, MaxPax is making all of these big units. If MaxPax feels like he needs to tech up, he can throw down a single fleet beacon. And he's going to be able to start the mothership going, but no such luxury here for Solar. So Solar has kind of played himself into a corner again, where now he's committed to just like a Roach Hydra mid-game all-in. But this wasn't the original plan at all. Still certainly something that can win you the game, don't get me wrong, and he might just. But it's very one-dimensional now, compared to MaxPax, who has a lot of flexibility here. This map, by the way, really is favoring Zerg in these kind of circumstances. Like, this wide open space technically should make it better, but yeah, I can feel the desperation here in Solar's movement. He decides to tap out. Next up, Starchild. Match point here for MaxPax. MaxPax. Max point. Whatever you like. Very impressive set of games by the Danish Protoss player. I mean, that one game, that was a little bit messy, right? But you can see the intention behind this strat. And when it works, when he can actually almost like hurt his opponent into that specific strategy, he can force the Zerg player into that tunnel. He knows that he can counter it after they are, well, down that path. Even though it's all in real time and even though margin for error is tiny, strategically it makes a ton of sense. Here we go again. The dance has begun. Look at this. Some Zalnaga artifacts over here, dude. No wonder the Protoss wants to kill the Zerg. Actually. Oh my god, they're on the other side of the map too. We just can't look at them head on. Because my camera can't turn that way. I actually would love to have like additional camera controls in StarCraft. It'd be kind of nice. Alright, Oracle swoops in. Kills a single drone. Takes a bit of hull damage. I don't love that. Bit too much damage there on that Oracle. No healing circle on Starchild. This is where healing circles would be phenomenal. Not the start, though, that Max is hoping for. But you know what? It's a tag team, right? They go back in and apparently the Oracle. Oracle number 2 gets to take over now. One little larva. Oh, turning around for the drone. No, no. Overextension of that Oracle too. Okay. This is the type of start that Solar is hoping for. There's once more a Twilight Council coming up. I'm assuming we'll see a Forge and a Blink. No Forge yet is a little bit funky. Oracle once more overextended. Could be Glaives. If he doesn't go for a Forge, it could be Glaives. No, he's late with the Forge. MaxPax is human? Maybe he's doing it on purpose just to pretend like he's human. You gotta pretend to be human sometimes as a StarCraft player. Very relatable. 4th hatchery coming up nice and early here for Solar, who did decide to go for the +1 melee this time around. That's a very quick evolution chamber. Oh, a bunch of units over here get surrounded, but not enough lings, and Oracle's up in the air to try and deal with all of this. Roach Warren is done. Lair is about 3/4 of the way done. We'll probably see the Roach speed upgrade in just a moment, but here is the dance. And MaxPax is an excellent dancer. This is something that Protoss players are known for. They do a lot of dancing. They go clubbing all the time on the weekends. Not Terran players. Terran players are always putting their heads down, grinding, trying to micro there. But yeah, Protoss players have active social lives. It's insane. At least that's what I've been told. So he's going to start the dance over here with the Stalkers. Solar needs to try and see if he can dance a little bit better. And that is exactly where the +1 melee is so good. Solar has analyzed here that indeed he's been falling behind a little bit because of these Stalkers. And Zerglings with +1 are nice. Bunch of links coming around the back. +1 melee is not yet finished though. Blink is now done. I love that MaxPax is going before Blink is finished. Like, historically you would imagine that's not a very good thing to do, but he's getting so much value out of it. And this choke point over here for Stasis Watch is super good. Keeping that extra Oracle alive is so important, right? Imagine if he would have lost one of them. Suddenly these attacks are way harder to pull off. Still though, +1 melee. You can tell that it's kicked in. Those links just deal way more damage. But once more, on the other side of the map, Templar Archives is on the horizon. Those Stasis Wards are so freaking good. The High Templar are being warped in. Trying to see if he can get some extra energy on them. Hide them inside of the mineral line. Energy recharge can be used as well. Okay. Solar's actually committing to a different flavor of an all-in this time around. I think he's going to be bringing the queens across the map. Now, he is on a timer. Zergling, extremely good, of course. But the problem with the Zerglings is that they die very rapidly to Storm. And Psystorm is coming. I would love to see Chronos on that, man. I feel like we We should be chronoing that constantly. But anyways, here we go. Brenda, Karen, and Margaret are holding hands inside of their private plane as they're heading across the other side of the map. And it is certainly something that can work out, but MaxPax has already seen it coming in from a mile away. Storm is 7, 6. He's a couple seconds away from finishing. At this point, Max should be... I mean, I think he should be able to hold this. Great Storm. Great Storm. Oh, we're being very conservative on those storms. Got a load of them, I guess. Okay, maybe? Yeah, not a whole lot of backbone here to this fight. Solar actually commits to... Yeah, he wants to win the game. The problem is this is all in for Solar, right? So, like, he doesn't want to just kill the 4th. He wants to kill the natural expansion and then drive his Zerg army into the main. So he could have easily killed the 4th base already, but then he would still be behind. So he's doubling down, sending in as many roaches as he can. Maybe killing the Cyber Core is actually a good idea. In the meantime, there were once more... Oh! There were once more Zealots on the other side of the map. And MaxPax just killed the opponent's Roach Warren, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, the Roach Warren was right over here. That's what the Zealots were targeting down. Since the Queens are on the other side of the map too, Solar might not actually have enough larva generation to constantly spend it on Zerglings. Which would be a 200 IQ play right there for Max. This is a very tight defense though, and I love the creep in this area. Let's look at the resource count here for Solar over the next half minute or so, because it may start piling up. Still, the roaches are strong here. Obviously, Zealots, though, are also going to be very nice. Solar does have additional queens at home. So he does have a 4th hatchery, too. That one is not being injected. In the meantime, MaxPax is leading this by about 20 workers. So every minute that goes by, assuming both players spend their money, the more stuff there will be for Max. And even though none of these traits are particularly effective, if he just gets more stuff out, he should be okay eventually. It's a close defense. Not as clean as the previous ones that we've seen throughout this series, but I think it is good enough. Yeah, GG. We've been seeing a lot of these awkward GG timings from Zerg players as of late. That was another one. It's just that Zerg players feel like when they are behind, there is no way for them to come back. And because of it, Solar decides to tap out with this all-in failing. It's quite common, actually, for Protoss players to just warp in some more reinforcements and then warp in some more reinforcements and then eventually go across the map. Solar knows that he's not going to be able to hold the counterattack whenever it comes, so he decides to rip off the Band-Aid. GG.